Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Magnanimosity. We are a grassroots organization committed to unleashing the human spirit and maximizing the potential of future generations. This is part 6 in a 10-part series entitled, Oh Yes We Are, Unleashing the Human Spirit. Please feel free to visit us at magnanimosity.webs.com. That's magnanimosity.webs.com. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about circumcision. In the first days of life, when it is at its most vulnerable, suggestible, and dependent on the loving and thoughtful acts of its mother, male babies are routinely mutilated. This premeditated act of violent identity lobotomy predates recorded history. There exists a long list of reasons as to how and why this insane practice came about, from religion to hygiene to masturbation prevention to disease mitigation. We may never know the imperative that existed in the minds of the first circumcisers. We have thoroughly disproven every myth that speaks of the benefits and needs for such an act. In the United States, the practice increased 90,000-fold in 110 years. From one case in 100,000 male births in 1860 to 90,000 cases per 100,000 male births in 1970. The following year, a comprehensive study revealed absolutely no advantage whatsoever to circumcision and many disadvantages, including death. The prevailing reason for its drastic increase during the early part of the century was to deter masturbation. A brief history of circumcision. Western countries have no tradition of circumcision. In antiquity, the expansion of the Greek and Roman empires brought Westerners into contact with the peoples of the Middle East, some of whom marked their children with circumcision and other sexual mutilations. To protect these children, the Greeks and Romans passed laws forbidding circumcision. Over the centuries, the Catholic Church has passed many similar laws. The traditional Western response to circumcision has been revulsion and indignation. Circumcision started in America during the masturbation hysteria of the Victorian era, when a few American doctors circumcised boys to punish them for masturbating. Victorian doctors knew very well that circumcision denudes, desensitizes, and disables the penis. Nevertheless, they were soon claiming that circumcision cured epilepsy, convulsions, paralysis, elephantitis, tuberculosis, eczema, bedwetting, hip joint disease, fecal incontinence, rectal prolapse, wet dreams, hernia, headaches, nervousness, hysteria, poor eyesight, idiocy, mental retardation, insanity, etc., etc., etc. In fact, no procedure in the history of medicine has been claimed to cure and prevent more diseases than circumcision. As late as the 1970s, leading American medical textbooks still advocated routine circumcision as a way to prevent masturbation. The anti-sexual motivations behind an operation that entails cutting off part of the penis are obvious. The radical practice of routinely circumcising babies did not begin until the Cold War era. This institutionalization of what amounted to compulsory circumcision was part of the same movement that pathologized and medicalized birth and actively discouraged breastfeeding. Private sector, corporate-run hospitals institutionalized routine circumcision without ever consulting the American people. There was no public debate or referendum. It was only in the 1970s that a series of lawsuits forced hospitals to obtain parental consent to perform this contraindicated but highly profitable surgery. Circumcisers responded by inventing new medical reasons for circumcision in an attempt to scare parents into consenting. Today, the reasons given for circumcision have been updated to play on contemporary fears and anxieties, but one day they too will be considered irrational. Now that such current excuses as the claim that this procedure prevents cancer and sexually transmitted diseases have been thoroughly discredited, circumcisers will undoubtedly invent new ones. But if circumcisers were really motivated by purely medical considerations, the procedure would have died out long ago, along with leeching, skull drilling, and castration. The fact that it has not suggests that the compulsion to circumcise came first, the excuses and reasons later. Millions of years of evolution have fashioned the human body into a model of refinement, elegance, and efficiency, with every part having a function and purpose. Evolution has determined that mammals' genitals should be sheathed in a protective, responsive, multi-purpose foreskin. Every normal human being is born with a foreskin. In females, it protects the glands of the clitoris. In males, it protects the glands of the penis. Thus, the foreskin is an essential part of human sexual anatomy. Parents should enjoy the arrival of a new child with as few worries as possible. The birth of a son in the U.S., however, is often fraught with anxiety and confusion. Most parents are pressured to hand their sons over to a stranger who, behind closed doors, straps babies down and cuts their foreskins off. The billion-dollar-a-year circumcision industry has bombarded Americans with confusing rhetoric and calculated scare tactics. Information about the foreskin itself is almost always missing from discussions about circumcision. The mass circumcision campaigns of the past few decades have resulted in pandemic ignorance about this remarkable structure and its versatile role in human sexuality. Ignorance and false information about the foreskin are the rule in American medical literature, education, and practice. Most American medical textbooks depict the human penis without explanation as circumcised, as if it were so by nature. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to discuss more in depth about circumcision in the next series, but this concludes part 6 in a 10-part series entitled Unleashing the Human Spirit. Again, please join us for part 6 by using the keywords Unleashing the Human Spirit. And again, please visit us at magnanimosity.webs.com. That's magnanimosity.webs.com, and thank you.